Look, you guys know me. I've never been one to follow the Duggar rules. I've spent years watching from the sidelines as secrets were buried and people were silenced in that family. But it's 2026 and I am officially done playing nice. You saw my recent posts, the ones that had everyone talking. Yeah, that was just the tip of the iceberg. People ask why I'm so shady, but I call it being honest. There are things about Jim Bob, the money, and what really goes on behind those closed doors at the big house that would make your head spin. I'm not just spilling tea today. I'm telling you exactly why the truth is finally coming out, whether they like it or not. If you think you know the Duggars, think again. Let's talk about the secrets they thought I'd never tell. So I woke up the other morning and my phone was literally vibrating off the nightstand. Why? Because I decided to post a little bit of truth on my stories. People call it shade, but I call it reality. I posted a simple quote about toxic family members and the importance of boundaries. And suddenly, the Duggar police were out in full force. You guys have to understand in that family, even a quote about truth is seen as an attack. They are so used to controlling everything you see on TV that when someone like me goes rogue on Instagram, it scares them. I wasn't being mean, I was being honest. But the reaction from the fans and the silence from the big house told me everything I needed to know. They're still hiding, and I'm still talking. I've always been the black sheep, or as I like to say, the only one with a little color in my wardrobe. Growing up a Duggar cousin was like living in two different worlds. I'd go to the big house and see my cousins in their long skirts, not allowed to listen to pop music or have their own phones. And then I'd go home and just be a normal girl. It was confusing. I loved them, but I hated the rules they were forced to live by. I was the one who would sneak them music or tell them about the real world. Jim Bob never liked that. He saw me as a bad influence just because I wanted his daughters to have a voice. Looking back at 2026, I realized I wasn't the rebel. I was just the first one who realized the system was broken. We need to talk about my uncle Jim Bob. For years, he was the face of the perfect Christian father. But let me tell you, that shadow he casts is long and it's very dark. He isn't just a dad, he's a CEO of a brand, and that brand is his children. I've seen how he handles people who don't agree with him. It isn't with Christian love, it's with contracts, pressure, and sometimes even cutting people off financially. He spent a fortune trying to keep the family secrets under wraps. But in 2026, the internet is a lot bigger than his influence. He can't control me, and he hates that. Every time I speak up, I'm chipping away at that shadow he's tried to keep everyone under for decades. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, the money. For years, everyone watched 19 Kids and counting on, thinking all those kids were getting a fair share of the TLC pie. But the truth is much more complicated. From what I've seen and heard, the way that money was funneled through ministries and family businesses is just mind blowing. While my cousins were working 12-hour days filming, many of them weren't even seeing a paycheck. It all went to the head of the house. In 2026, we're seeing the fallout of that. People are starting to ask, where did the millions go? I've always said that if you want to find the truth in that family, you just have to follow the dollar signs. Seeing my cousins struggle to pay for their own lives while the big house remains a fortress of wealth, it's just not right. And I won't stop pointing it out. You wonder why more of them don't speak up. It's because of the paperwork. I've heard stories about AAs and silence contracts that would make a Hollywood lawyer blush. In the Duggar world, loyalty isn't just expected, it's legally mandated. They use these contracts as a weapon to keep the secrets buried. If you speak out, you risk losing your family, your inheritance, and potentially facing a massive lawsuit. It's a culture of fear disguised as faith. I'm lucky because I never signed one of those pieces of paper. That's why I can sit here and talk to you today. I am the voice for the people who are legally gagged, and I take that responsibility very seriously. The truth shouldn't require a signature to be kept quiet. Uh, Jill is more than just a cousin to me. She's a sister in arms. When she first started pulling away from the family's control, I was the one who told her, go for it, reclaim your life. I watched as the rest of the family, the people who were supposed to love her most, turned their backs on her. It was heartbreaking, but it also made our bond unbreakable. We've spent countless hours on the phone just crying and processing everything we went through. Jill is the bravest person I know. She didn't just walk away. She told her story through her book and her own platform. I will always be in her corner, defending her against the shady comments from the family because I know exactly what it cost her to be free. If you walk into the big house today in 2026, the energy is different. It's not that bubbly, happy, go lucky vibe you saw on TV. It feels heavy. There's a lot of unsaid things in the air. With so many scandals and so much public drama, the fortress is starting to crumble from the inside. They try to keep up appearances for the cameras or social media, but you can see the wear and tear in their eyes. It's a house built on secrets, and eventually, secrets start to rot the foundation. I don't go there often anymore, but when I do, I'm reminded of why I had to build my own life elsewhere. You can't breathe in a place where the truth is considered an enemy. The hardest part of all this is the lost trust. Growing up, I really wanted to believe the best about my uncle and aunt. I wanted to believe the family first message. But after seeing how things were handled behind the scenes, that trust is just gone. When you realize that the people you looked up to were prioritizing a brand over the safety and well being of their own children, it changes you. You can't unsee that. In 2026, I'm at a place where I don't need their approval anymore. I've lost trust in the institution they built, but I've found trust in myself. I've learned that sometimes the most godly thing you can do is walk away from a lie and stand firmly in the light, no matter how lonely it feels at first. Oh, one of the biggest reasons I refuse to stay quiet is for the next generation. There are over 30 Duggar grandkids now, and I'll be damned if they have to grow up in the same cycle of silence and performance that we did. I see them in the background of photos, and I just want to pull them aside and tell them, you have a voice. You don't have to be a prop for a TV show or a brand. I'm so passionate about protecting them because I know how it feels to be a child whose worth is measured by how well you follow the rules. In 2026, I'm making it my mission to be the voice for those kids until they are old enough to speak for themselves. They deserve a childhood that belongs to them, not to the public. Ooh, people call it a social media war, but I see it as a battle for the truth. Every time I post something a little shady or cryptic, it's because I'm navigating a legal minefield. Jim Bob has lawyers watching my every move, waiting for me to slip up so they can slap me with a lawsuit. So I use quotes, I use stories, and I use metaphors. It's my way of speaking directly to the fans and to the family members who are trapped without handing the big house a reason to sue me. It's exhausting to have to talk in riddles, but if that's what it takes to bypass their legal threats and get the message out, I'll keep doing it. They can try to censor me, but they can't delete the truth once it's out there. I spent years watching the edited versions of our lives on TLC. It was so polished, so perfect, and so fake. In 2026, I'm finally at a point where I can start correcting the record. The things you saw on TV, the happy family gatherings, the easy courtships, those were often just performances. Behind the scenes, there was a lot of tension, a lot of tears, and a lot of controlling behavior. I want people to understand that just because it looked wholesome on your screen doesn't mean it wasn't harmful in real life. Correcting the fiction isn't about being bitter. It's about making sure the reality of what happened isn't forgotten in favor of a TV friendly narrative. Being the loud cousin comes with a price. I've lost invitations to family weddings. I've been blocked on social media by people I grew up with, and I've been called every name in the book by the die-hard fans. It's lonely sometimes. You feel like you're on an island. But then I remember why I'm doing this. I'd rather be alone on an island of truth than crowded in a house of lies. The cost of my reputation is a small price to pay for the freedom of my conscience. I've learned that the people who get the most upset when you set boundaries or speak the truth are the ones who were benefiting from you having none. Constantly ask me what I talk about Anna. It's a touchy subject, but I'll be honest, my heart breaks for her. But I also struggle with the choices she's made. In 2026, she is still deeply entrenched in the system. I wish she would take a page out of Jill's book and realize that she doesn't have to carry the weight of someone else's sins, but she's choosing loyalty to a brand over everything else. And it's devastating to watch. I've reached out, I've tried to be there, but there's a wall there that I just can't get through. She's making her choice, but I fear the cost of that choice is going to fall on her children in the long run. In our family, religion wasn't just a faith, it was a tool of control. They used verses to keep women silent and to keep children obedient. They've twisted the message of grace into a message of don't talk, don't tell. I've had to completely deconstruct my own faith because of it. I still love God, but I have zero time for the religion that Jim Bob sells. It's a performance based system that values appearance over the heart. When I speak out against the family, they call it unchristian, but I think standing up for the oppressed and exposing the darkness is the most Christian thing anyone can do. I'm reclaiming my faith from the hands of people who used it as a weapon. Everyone wants to know if there's a book coming. All I'll say is this: I have a lot of journals, I have a lot of receipts, and I have a very long memory. Whether it's a book, a documentary, or just continuing to use my platform, the leaks aren't going to stop. There is so much more that the public doesn't know: documents, financial records, and stories that were cut from the show. The big house thinks they can keep the lid on this forever, but the pressure is building. I'm not just spilling tea for fun. I'm gathering the pieces of a puzzle that the world needs to see. Stay tuned, because the truth always finds a way to leak out. My heart really goes out to the younger siblings, the ones who are still under that roof in 2026. They've grown up in a house that's been under constant legal and media fire. It's a lot for a teenager to process. I want them to know there is a whole world outside of Town that isn't scary. You don't have to be a brand to be loved. I see some of them starting to test the waters, maybe wearing something a little different or starting their own small projects. My hope is that they look at Jill Jinger and even me and realize that leaving the system doesn't mean losing your soul. It means finding it. I'll always have a spare room and an open door for any of them who just need a place to breathe. You wouldn't believe the phone calls and messages that come through when I post something they don't like. Jim Bob doesn't usually call me himself anymore. He has people for that. But the message is always the same. Amy, you're hurting the family. Amy, think about the testimony. It used to make me shake with anxiety. But now I just smile because I realize that I'm not hurting the family. The secrets are hurting the family. I'm just the one holding up the mirror. When they get angry, it just proves that I've hit a nerve. They can't handle a woman they can't control. And in 2026, I am completely 100% out of their control. I spend a lot of time thinking about how I'm raising my son, Dax. He is growing up in a house where his feelings are validated, where he can ask why, and where he doesn't have to perform for a camera to get attention. Breaking the cycle is hard work. It means unlearning everything I saw at the big house. It means teaching him that God is about love and grace, not rules and punishment. Every time I see him laugh or just be a normal, messy kid, I know I'm doing the right thing. He might not have 30 cousins to play with every day, but he has a mom who is present, honest, and free. That is the best inheritance I can ever give him. People ask what the final straw was for me. It wasn't just one thing, it was a mountain of things. But seeing the way they tried to discredit Jill when she spoke her truth, that was it. Seeing them choose a reputation over their own daughter's healing was more than I could take. In 2026, I've decided that if being part of the family means staying silent about injustice, then I don't want to be part of the family. I'd rather be a cousin who stands for what's right than an insider who helps hide the truth. That realization gave me a peace that I can't even describe. I'm not hiding anymore, and I'm not waiting for their permission to exist. So what is the future of the Duggar name? I think a brand is dead, but the people are still there. My prayer is that the name eventually stands for something else. For resilience, for healing, and for the courage it takes to walk away from a lie. To everyone who has followed this journey, thank you for listening to The Rubble. Don't believe everything you see on a polished Instagram feed. Look for the people who are speaking the truth, even when their voices are shaking. I'm Amy King, and I'm finally finished living in the shadow of the big house. The light is much better out here. Thanks for being part of the truth with me.